Good evening again, friends. We're back. Good evening again, Mom and Don and Linda. So, friends, it's time to continue in Romans. Here's our poster board for Romans. We are resuming at the opening verse of chapter 4. So, chapter 4. Yes, we are at the bottom of this column right here. Who is in God's covenant family? Those declared righteous by faith in God's promise, the descendants of Abraham. And through Abraham, all nations will be blessed by God. Through Abraham and through his offspring. All nations. So it's an inclusive lot. So with that in mind, friends, let's read and see what is here in the 4th chapter. I'll be reading from the left-hand column, which is the New Living Translation, which is what we've been reading Romans from. And on the right column, you see the text of the New Revised Standard Version Updated Edition. So let's set our timer and let's spend some time in Romans. Yep. Uh-oh. Ruh-roh. Okay. I'm hoping we're going to be continuing. Looks like my phone just dropped off the Wi-Fi, but my computer has not. Not yet. Anyway, my computer still looks like it's connected. How odd. Yeah, that's weird. Okay, well, given the fact that my laptop is still connected, even though my phone is not, and it's actually from my laptop that I'm recording, we'll go with this and hope that it holds. So let's read. Good evening, Anthony. It's actually from my laptop. Yeah, and everything sounds good. Try to listen to it. Okay. So bizarre. Let's read. Abraham was, humanly speaking, the founder of our Jewish nation. What did he discover about being made right with God? If his good deeds had made him acceptable to God, he would have had something to boast about. But that was not God's way. For the scriptures tell us Abraham believed God, and God counted him as righteous because of his faith. When people work, their wages are not a gift, but something they have earned. But people are counted as righteous not because of their work, but because of their faith in God who forgives sinners. David also spoke of this when he described the happiness of those who are declared righteous without working for it. Oh, what joy for those whose disobedience is forgiven, whose sins are put out of sight. Yes, what joy for those whose record the Lord has cleared of sin. Now, is this blessing only for the Jews? Or is it also for uncircumcised Gentiles? Well, we have been saying that Abraham was counted as righteous by God because of his faith. But how did this happen? Was he counted as righteous only after he was circumcised? Or was it before he was circumcised? Clearly, God accepted Abraham before he was circumcised. Circumcision was a sign that Abraham already had faith and that God had already accepted him and declared him to be righteous even before he was circumcised. So Abraham is the spiritual father of those who have faith but have not been circumcised. They are counted as righteous because of their faith. And Abraham is also the spiritual father of those who have been circumcised, but only if they have the same kind of faith Abraham had before he was circumcised. It's a little stronger than the end of verse 12 over here in the NRSV UE, isn't it? Only if they have the same kind of faith Abraham had before he was circumcised. Here it's just simply, but follow the example of the faith that our ancestor Abraham had before he was circumcised. They're similar, but the New Living Translation, I think, is a little bit more strong. It's an interesting thing to note. This is one of the reasons why it's helpful, oftentimes, to compare what different translators have done with texts. Verse 13. Clearly, God's promise to give the whole earth to Abraham and his descendants was based not on his obedience to God's law, but on a right relationship with God that comes by faith. If God's promise is only for those who obey the law, then faith is not necessary and the promise is pointless. For the law always brings punishment on those who try to obey it. The only way to avoid breaking the law is to have no law to break. Or as this text over here puts it, where there is no law, there is no transgression. Which, friends, let's just be honest, that's a thoroughly Christian reading Our Jewish friends, our Jewish neighbors remind us that the law, first and foremost, is God's self-revelation. How do we know God? Because God has revealed God's self in Torah, in law, in instruction. And the law is intended not only to reveal God's self, but then to reveal to us best practices on how we best live in relationship with God and one another. And it sounds so nice and so simple, and it's not. And the difficulty of it is where we get as Christians to where there is no law, there is no transgression, which is kind of our nice way of going, well, we're going to break it. Okay. How about we try not to, that is. That's a whole nother topic. And right now we're just reading Romans. So let's keep reading. Verse 16. So the promise is received by faith. It is given as a free gift. And we are all certain to receive it, whether or not we live according to the law of Moses, if we have faith like Abraham's. For Abraham is the father of all who believe. That is what the scripture means when God told him, I made you the father of many nations. This happened because Abraham believed in the God who brings the dead back to life and who creates new things out of nothing. Abraham believed in the God who brings the dead back to life. Let's just sit with that and realize what we're probably getting at is Abraham and Sarah, an old couple, beyond life-creating years, had a son together. And then that son was spared, and a ram was appointed in his place. Verse 18, just a little bit more. Even when there was no reason for hope, Abraham kept hoping, believing that he would become the father of many nations. For God had said to him, that's how many descendants you will have. And Abraham's faith did not weaken, even though at about 100 years of age, he figured his body was as good as dead, and so was Sarah's womb. We'll pause there, friends. But as you look ahead and see Abraham never wavered in believing, and as we reflect on Abraham kept hoping, let's also remember, because Paul doesn't seem to remember or chooses not to, that the very existence of Ishmael, fathered by Abraham, but not by Sarah, by Hagar, is a moment where, well, maybe Abraham wavered just a little bit, and but that's not counted against him, which is good, because then that gives us some leeway, doesn't it? Next time, friends, when we pick up Romans, we'll pick up there at chapter 4, verse 20. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for praying with us. Thank you for reading with us tonight. Oh, good evening, Cheryl. I encourage you, by the way, hit the like button on this video. If you've not done so yet, subscribe to the channel. I look forward to praying in the morning with you. Have a peaceful and restful night. Good night.